Hey everyone, welcome to episode 279, Dealing with Difficult People. Welcome to the Harmony in the Home podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Hutchison. I'm a counselor, a life coach, and most importantly, an imperfect mom doing this work right along with you. And my goal on our podcast is to go from chaos to calm, feel less frazzled, and have more fun within your four walls to have more harmony in your home. Hey everyone, I love the feedback I'm getting from episode 278 about just walking out the door because it really just simplifies it in your brain, and it doesn't always have to be about working out. It can be about whatever area that is just needling at your heart and needling at your brain, and it's causing so much emotional drama in your brain. Because I know when I was flailing, that stress of the inner dialogue and the inner chatter of just beating myself up and you should 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 and why aren't you and you're a loser, all that stuff was so exhausting. And to get rid of that mental chatter has been so freeing that yes, it is not physical weight, but it's so much emotional weight that's gone. So if you haven't listened to that yet about just walking out the door, it's in honor of my beautiful and amazing and hilarious and kind and thoughtful and gone too soon brother-in-law, Jamie, who I've known since 1992, and it would just make me so happy, my sister so happy, if we knew that his messaging was just reaching across the globe. So let me know where you're coming from and how you're just #walking out the door. Before I get into today's topic about dealing with difficult people, I want to talk to you about pocket coaching. Pocket coaching is a great way for you and I to connect via Voxer, which is like if voicemail and walkie-talkies had a baby, it would be called Voxer. And it's a great way for us to connect. You share your stories. I share my stories of my consciousness and how I'm trying to be conscious. You share your stories of your unconsciousness and trying to be conscious. And I will help you to stop yelling at your kids, getting them to listen, personalizing suggestions that are specific to your children, their ages, their stages, their challenges, because there is no child on this planet that does not come to this world without challenges and strengths. So we're going to focus on the challenges, fix the challenges, make those challenges smaller, and focus on the strengths even more and make those even bigger. So if you're interested, go to coachingkelly.com, go to the Work With Me tab and sign up there. And right away, I will send you an invite to get connected on Voxer. So I love this TikTok. I will post a link to the credit in the show notes about dealing with difficult people. You will be blown away. So let me play it for you, and then I'll talk to you on the other side about it.
What do you consider to be the definitive symptom of childhood trauma?
I think for a lot of us, it's about trying to get a difficult person to be good to us in our adult.
Wait, say that again. Say that again. That is so important. Say that again.
A definitive symptom of childhood trauma is about trying to get a difficult person to be good to us.
Okay, so that's it. Right. I mean, that right there. If we stop the show here, you've just given us the wisdom for the ages, right? Because it's that. It's trying to get a difficult person to be good to us. So many people on this community not only endured this in childhood, tried to get the parent to love them, but then went through a series of relationships in adulthood where the entire relationship was about getting that dysfunctional, harmful, difficult, toxic person to be good to them.
Why are we trying to get a difficult person to be good to us? One is, like you just mentioned, it's familiar. We will spend a lifetime in patterns of relationships, whether it's a boss or a partner or friends. These are the patterns that I see for people who grow up with a difficult parent. There's lack of sense of self in there. The missing ingredients is like our own goodness and our own power. So I think when we wake up and we start doing this work where we start to look at narcissistic relationships or the thing where we find ourselves in them, is the turning point is when people kind of go, F this. I'm never going to win with this level of difficulty. And why am I doing it? Why am I compelled to keep doing this dance with somebody who just sets me up for failure?
Join the Dr. Ramani Network today.
Isn't that just amazing? We want difficult people to love us if we had childhood trauma. So the definition of childhood trauma is what you just heard. It's getting difficult. Just to summarize it, If you have a lot of difficult people in your life and you're trying to get them to love you, and you're doing all the gymnastics and you're all doing the mental gymnastics and the hip hip hooray and the cheerleading to get them to approve of you, to validate you, to love you, and you just can't seem to get it to happen, it's because the brain doesn't know the difference between past, present, and future. So it's always trying to create that old wound in current time. So the broad example would be if you grew up with a parent who was an alcoholic. There is a high chance that you will have an alcoholic in your life, whether you become one or you are drawn towards someone in your romantic relationships or your friendships, and your brain will think, oh, I can fix this person. I couldn't fix my mom or my dad or my aunt or my uncle or my brother or my sister, but my golly, I can fix this person. Because what happens is the unconscious brain stores trauma, stores pain, stores stress, and it just sits there almost like a filing cabinet. And then we grow up and we become an adult, and then it says, you know what? That old pain, that old trauma, that old stress that I didn't know what to do about when I was younger and I didn't know how to process it and manage it, it's still sitting in this filing cabinet. So unconsciously, we go out and we recreate this old trauma, this old pain, this old stress, because the unconscious part of the brain does not know the difference between past, present, and future. So it goes and recreates that in our adult relationships, not with the same people, not with the same faces, but the same storyline. Think of it like a play on Broadway. It was the play on Broadway when we were children, and now we're going to recreate it in our adult life. And why does the brain do that? Because the brain is trying to process out that stress and trauma. So it's going to go recreate it to try to heal that old wound in current time. It's kind of like if you've ever gone through something really stressful or really traumatic or really awful, and you have a really bad dream about it. Well, that's the brain's way of trying to heal that old wound while you're sleeping. So many, many moons ago, Grady was very little. He had a really bad pool accident at the pool, obviously. ER, stitches, lots of blood. Should have called an ambulance, but probably could have driven there faster. So I made that game time decision to drive versus ambulance. I'm still happy I made that decision. However, that's how serious it was. It was an awful, awful experience for everybody involved. For David, for the kids, obviously for Grady, for Lily, for me, for everybody who was around us. We were supposed to be a certain place and we couldn't go there. And then they're all frantic and panicking. And, it was one of those scenes out of a movie. So about a week or two after that happened, probably for about a month or two, I had so many bad dreams about that. And I understood then, and I understand now, that my brain was just trying to process that and try to heal that. And it's almost a way of nursing a wound. If you've ever had a cut or a boo-boo, and what happens? It bleeds a little bit, then it starts to, stop bleeding, but it's still very red, and then it scab will produce, and then the scab will peel off, and then there's still a little mark, and then it will come back, and you can nick it, it might start bleeding again. And that's the same thing when we have a wound in our heart, is that the brain is having these dreams, or it's recreating in our adult relationships because it's trying to create that scab, and then it's trying to have it go from the scab and then also just disappear altogether. That's the goal. And that's why it happens. So when we know this, when we know better, we do better. We realize oh, I don't have to try so hard. I should focus on the relationships that are working versus just being so hyper-focused and fixated on the relationships that aren't working and trying to people please to a point of toxicity where we're just trying so hard to get someone to approve of us when that's an inside job. So we're giving that job to other people when it's really an inside job. And awareness is key, because then you won't be so needy and graspy for that person to approve of you, to like you, to appreciate you, to give you the kudos that you're probably not going to get. And it gets you out of that push-pull relationship. Because if you're in a push-pull relationship when you're younger with your parents, then you're probably going to be in a push-pull relationship with your friendships, with your romantic relationships, and most of all, you're being in a push-pull relationship with your kids. Because even with our kids, we recreate our old trauma and our old pain because we're trying to heal old wounds in current time. Even with our kids. So when we know this is so powerful, because then we don't have to do it anymore. We could be oh, I could have had a V8. And then we separate the two instead of enmeshing the two and becoming codependent on this person and hanging on their every move and every word and every move that they make because we just need them to approve of us and love us. It's not their job. And even if they were to say the things and do the things, it would be a temporary fix to a long-term problem. It's an inside job. It can be healed through therapy, through counseling, through pocket coaching, through lots of different means, but it cannot be healed through other people. And when you know this, it's so freeing and so liberating for not only for you, but also the person that you're trying to put a round peg in a square hole. So I hope this gives you some freedom, because when you have freedom in your heart, then you have much more harmony in the home. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. Hey mamas, thanks for listening. If you had any ahas, clicks, or those lightning bolt moments while listening, you have to check out my free parenting bootcamp, where we take all of this to the next level and we try to create even more awakenings for ourselves so that we can connect more with our kids and never yell at them again. You can sign up at www.coachingkelly.com. And if you really want to fill up my love cup, send me an email of what your aha was, what your click was, what was that lightning bolt moment while you were listening. I want nothing more in life than for you to have harmony in your home and to learn how to be an imperfect mom like me, which allows your kids to be imperfect too, each and every day. Thanks for listening.